Hello and welcome to my channel. It's the Network Specialist. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. Everything I will discuss in my video is alleged and in my very own opinion used for entertainment purposes only. Okay? Hey, Mama Bees, thank you so much for being here and thank you so much for all you do. Hey, Gracie's Quilting and Crafting. Thank you so much for being here. So let's get into it, guys. So today I will be doing a recap of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 12. The Frack is back. Y'all heard me? And let's just say that one more time for the people in the back. The Frack is back. Okay? So this episode, kind of started off with Kelly and Shamia in Shamia's backyard of her lovely home, poolside. And Kelly shared with Shamia that she wanted to host a trip, to an exotic, beautiful Caribbean place, and she wanted Shamia to co-host with her, so to help her host this event. So she had Shamia guessing, a place where they could go, which she already knew what the place was, where it would be Caribbean, exotic, just a beautiful place. So as far as I remember, Shamia never guessed the location, but the location just happens to be in Grenada. Okay. And while they're there, they'll also do some charity work because Grenada had recently, had a hurricane and they will be donating supplies while they're there. Okay. So taking in the sun, but also giving back while they're in Grenada. Okay. And I have said this before, and I will say this again. I love Kelly and Shamia's budding friendship. It looks like, there is a new bestie in town, but we're not going to say that too loud because we don't want nobody getting offended. But, Shamia mentioned how they speak on the phone every day. She talks to Shia on the phone. So they're just really close. And Gracie said, not asking her bestie to co-host Britt had me side-eyeing Kelly. Okay, let me read that again, Gracie. Not asking her bestie to co-host Britt had me side-eyeing Kelly. Okay, so you're calling Kelly and Britt besties, and you were side-eyeing Kelly because she didn't ask Britt to host. Now, I know that they said that before this show aired that Britt and Kelly was really good friends, but I just don't get that energy from them. Like, honestly, I don't feel like Britt has a real connection with anybody on this show. It's just like she's just playing the game, she's floating around, see where she can build friendships. But I really don't see a real, like even with Shamia, it's a budding relationship. They're growing, and I can see them at some point becoming besties. And she said yes. Got it. So at least for now, it seems like that, there is a new budding friendship between Shamia and Kelly, but you never know with reality TV, we'll just have to watch and wait, okay? Now, do y'all think that it was a coincidence that they showed Portia's house hunting scene right after they showed Shamia and Kelly's backyard pool scene at Shamia's house? Do y'all think that was a coincidence? Hey, Cece, thank you so much for being here. And American Way says, I don't see it either. And I think you're referring to the friendship between Britt and Kelly. So I feel like they wanted us to see the similarities of the houses that Portia, you know, was going to look at versus Shamia's house you know, that they're quite similar. So do you think Bravo or the network was being messy when they showed Portia scene, house hunting right after they showed Shamia and Kelly scene in her backyard because they wanted us to see how similar those two houses were? I think so. Okay. And also, this house that Portia was house hunting and looking at with her sister and her mom had 8 bedrooms and 7 baths. Portia, you got that, girl? A $4.2 million house? You got that, Portia? I don't believe you do, girl. I don't know why you playing in our face. Okay. And I think she wanted a beautiful house to film in because guess what? She can't film in her house. Okay. So I get it, Portia. Portia, girl, you working hard. I know you never thought in a million years that you were going to have to work this hard for a storyline, but because your storyline fell through, baby girl, you out there breaking your back. And it done also extended to your YouTube channel because word on the curb, according to Lakeisha Keisha, Portia, you might just be fired because you're not giving what you were supposed to have gave. Like you don't have any storyline. Okay? So the people are talking, Portia. They want you gone. And American Way, thank you so much for being here. And she said, girl, I stopped watching everything raw after watching one clip of Shamia. She ruined it for me. Okay, okay, American Way, what Shamia done did? And Gracie said Portia is doing too much looking at 4 milli homes. She needs to either get a penthouse or a condo or even a townhouse. Okay? Because at the end of the day, Portia, you ain't solidified no man to pay for it. And we know that's how you pay for your homes. Is you know what I'm saying? You get these ninjas out here who love to deal with gold diggers to pay for your homes. So, girl, you might need to secure the man before you try to secure a home, because, baby girl, I don't think I don't think you're gonna be able to pay for a $4.2 million home, in my opinion, allegedly. And Cece said, I think production was being messy. You too, Cece. Production was being messy as hell. And I'm going to tell you why, Cece, after I read your comment. She said, I assume Portia has been looking at houses for a while when she didn't know if her prenup would be held up. Here's the thing, and why I believe they were being messy, because I'm gonna keep it a book. I had no idea that the next scene had went to Portia house hunting. I turned my head for a minute and I thought we were still on the scene with Shamia and Kelly. That's how I know they was being messy, because the homes were just too similar. And I just happened to turn my head and turned it back. And I thought we were still at Shamia's home, but come to find out, Portia and her sister and her mom were house hunting. Okay. Now, Portia, you got one child. Why you need all that house? You trying to home your entire family? Like, at some point, y'all need to separate. Like, you're doing too much, Portia. You're doing too much faking and too much lying, in my opinion. And Cece said Portia bought the house her mother lives in years ago for over $1 million. I think she may have a bit more buying power by now. Okay, she could have, but at the end of the day, she gonna keep that house. You know why she gonna keep that house? Because I don't think that Portia wants to live in the same house with her mom. So she would have to sell that house and her mom would have to move in with her. So she would just be buying this new home, just, off the rip, without, selling that home as a down payment for this home. And on top of that, CC, Portia might be losing her job because at the end of the day, she just don't got no storyline. So why would you go out there and put yourself out there in all that debt when at the end of the day, you really don't know if you're going to have a job next season? I'm just saying. And American Way said, people seem to forget Portia got some money too. I'm not forgetting that Portia got money. I mean, she is on the show, so I know Portia is making a check. She does have her Pampered by Portia sheets. She does have her Go Naked hair. But at the end of the day, American Way, I do not believe that Portia can afford a $4 million house. And on top of that, we really not have not gotten any feedback from Portia on this lawsuit that she had to pay out for $5.2 million or $5.1 million because of what happened at the daycare that her mom ran that was in Portia's name. Okay, so it's kind of unclear whether or not Portia paid out that $5.1 million. And I'm really waiting on Portia to respond to that. But as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, she has not responded to those allegations about her and her mom, Diane, being sued by the mother of that 3-month-old boy who lost his life at her mother's daycare the very first day that he was there. So the fact that I personally never even knew that Portia had a daycare in her name. There's some underlying stuff going on with Portia that we might not even know about. So that's why I feel like Portia just ain't got those kind of funds moving around right now, on top of the fact that she's going through a divorce. Okay. Lawyers are not cheap. Okay, so I just don't think she got that kind of money rolling around. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you might know something that I don't know. So drop down in the comments and let me know. And Gracie said Simon ain't paying the mortgage now. Exactly. So she gonna have to go strictly off the strength of her own credit, her own down payment, whatever the case may be. And another thing, her and Simon went to go look at that house together. If Portia's credit was so good and if she had it like that, why was her name not put on that home that she purchased with Simon at the time? Because they went to go look at that house together. So they were definitely buying that house together. So why was Portia's name not added to that home? I feel like it wasn't added because maybe she had that pending $5 million lawsuit or something else we don't know about, or maybe her credit just couldn't sustain that type of mortgage. Okay, so let me know. And American Way says, let Portia live, laugh out loud. She learned a lot after her divorce from Cardell. And I totally get it, American Way, because she did a lot better job when it came to that prenup, because Portia said, ain't no ninja finna just put me out on the streets, pack up my stuff, put it in storage. You know what I'm saying? So she did level up from the previous marriage. I totally agree with that. That's how she was able to stay in this house because in the prenup, she was supposed to be able to stay there for 2 years. Simon had to move out on top of receiving a lump sum, for alimony or whatever the case may be. And Gracie said, Simon is not paying the mortgage now. Absolutely, Gracie. Yes, I don't believe he is paying the mortgage. Hey, Paula, thank you so much for being here. Okay. Now, where was I? So, um, Portia states that her mom and her sister Lauren, that her and Shamia had a conversation and they are, in a good place, and they have come up with a mutual decision, um, that their friendship is not up for discussion between the ladies. Okay. So she was just letting them know because there had been a little beef and her mom had some things to say about Shamia. So she was just letting them know that they had a conversation and, they're good, for now. And she's also good with the other ladies. And she said she's all about love. And if love isn't enough, then they can seek love somewhere else. Okay. And Gracie said she's petitioning the court to not be at the hearing next month because she told her lawyers she needs to work. She's drowning in legal bills. So 4 million is not her range right now. And I totally agree, Gracie. Totally agree. So in the next scene, Kelly and her dog, guys, I don't got nothing against Kelly. I like her and Shamia's relationship. She's a cool person, kind of boring if you really want to know the truth. But I'm kind of over Kelly giving her dog more attention that she's giving her poor daughters. Okay. Kelly and her dog, and she did have her oldest daughter there. They went for facials, but most of the attention was on her fur baby. Okay. And for Kelly to be going for facials with her pooch with what we know now, $150,000 um, lawsuit pending over her head. And on top of that, she mentioned that she had $150,000 attorney's bill, you know, like, what are you doing, Kelly? Like, you got all of this debt looming, and you're just like spending all of this money on your dog. Like, make it make sense. And Gracie said Kelly paying all that money on her dog, but crying about paying out for her divorce. Exactly. Like, she just be doing too much with that dog, and it's just utterly ridiculous. And I think she does that because some people think that having a cute little dog is a sign of people having money or whatever the case may be. It's just the supposed aesthetics for, somebody who has money, whatever the case may be, but that's just not always the case. I see people broke, living in the hood, they got the cutest dog in the world. So that absolutely has nothing to do with it, okay? Now, Shamia made it very clear when she stepped, you know, through V103 that she has a beef with Drew, okay, for calling her a lap dog. Like, I don't believe that Shamia is going to let that statement by I'm sorry, Drew go, okay? She's very pressed about that statement that Drew made. And Mama B says there are 4 likes and 7 in the chat. Please hit the like button, share, and join the conversation. Hence, the meetup with Ralph. Now it all makes sense why Shamia agreed to do that because she's feeling some kind of way that Drew made that statement. And guys, keep in mind, um, Shamia been hearing, that for a very long time, for years. Okay. So I think that when Shamia came on this show, she thought that she would be able to dead that narrative about her being Portia's lapdog. So when people say that to her, I think it really cuts deep, to be honest. And then Shamia low key called Drew a lion ass biatch. Ooh, she is not playing with Drew. And Cece said, also, Phaedra said she knows Kelly from the showroom. Yes, Phaedra did say that. That's the high-end fashion business the moneyed ladies in Atlanta go to get their designer items. Kelly should not be shopping there. What? And I'm glad you said that, Cece, because you just feel some tea. I was wondering where these ladies get their supposedly high-end fashions from that they're willing to go and, pay all this money for these fashions, for these lavish events that always end with drama. Okay. Like, I just couldn't do it. Like, I know even when I'm going to an event, whatever the case may be, there's a lot involved. Okay. There's a lot involved with hair, makeup, outfit, shoes, just the whole nine. So there is no way when I go through that whole process, I want to have a good time. I might want to party for a couple of days, okay? And not that I can wear the same outfit, but I'm just saying if I done got my hair done, like I'm gonna go out at least a couple of times with that hairdo, guys, okay? And American Way said, I just heard about this situation with the daycare and it's heartbreaking for the child's family. I believe Portia has financial streams of income we don't know about. Yes, I agree. And a man with one of them, with money being one of those. financial streams of incomes. Okay. And Gracie said Phaedra showed the showroom on Married to Medicine. They sell furs too. They be doing too much with all of them furs and all of that in the summertime in Atlanta. Now, there was nothing really interesting about the scene with Angela and Charles. Now, one thing that did um, stand out to me is that it was the fact that Angela's mom said that what started the beef with her and Charles is the fact that Charles told her that her daughter needs to clean up. Now, guys, I know that if you watch my channel, you should know why that stood out to me. Now, remember when I told y'all that it was very disrespectful when Charles asked Angela if she washed her hands, okay? Because that was significant because unless Angela is a nasty person and doesn't keep a clean house, he would automatically assume that she washed her hands. So that was very telling to me that he asked her that question like low key, Angela might be nasty. I'm just saying. And if she is a clean person, that statement would lead people to believe, just like myself, that she's nasty. I'm just saying. So my whole thing is, why were you apologizing to Charles when your mom only felt some kind of way because basically he called you nasty and Charles is always low key shading Angela, in their scenes. Okay? So what did she apologize for exactly? And Cece said when Portia was introduced on Married to Medicine, Jackie and Heavenly visited her at the showroom. Okay, got it. Phaedra is one of the owners. Really? She stays booked and busy. Got it. And American Way says, I believe Simon swindled Portia about his identity. Even I wouldn't want to show my face in court. The man conned the American and Nigerian government over and over and over. Yes, a lot of people would definitely agree with that American Way. And Cece said, I hope the Atlanta ladies stop wasting good money on those horrible, overpriced fashions. A trip to the Chinese warehouse would be cheaper. Exactly. I mean, your scenes only last for 30 minutes because that's all it takes for the drama to start. And Mama B says that's the way it sounds to me. That part, Mama B's. And I think you're talking about Charles and Angela. Now, and Gracie said, yeah, I was confused about Angela and Charles' situation. The apology seemed off. Too many missing pieces in the story. Yes. And on top of that, and now Angela's mom, who had her back and is no longer here for you to apologize to. Because remember, guys, I said this, I believe, on my last live, that since that scene was aired with Angela's mom, her mom has since passed away. So now your mom is no longer here for you to apologize to her. But she definitely had your back, which is why she didn't speak to your husband for almost 3 years. Okay. And truth be told, that's probably why she decided to move out of Angela's house that she brought her because she did not want to feel like Charles was doing anything for her. Her mom was not feeling Charles. And you know, somehow I believe that maybe that's the reason why she moved out of that house is because she didn't want to feel like Charles was doing nothing for her. Because, baby, when that mama bear kicks in, we do not play about our children, whether they are grown or not. Now, let's get to Britt's event before I get out of here. Britt's event was so unorganized. For the people to still be setting up as the guests are arriving is so tacky. To have people in heels on a golf course is absolutely ridiculous. The This definitely ruins heels because I had a situation where I lost my phone and we were having a house party at my sister's house and it had rained earlier, so we had been outside in the backyard but had since come in, so I went back outside to try to find my phone, and my heels were so damaged from walking in grass. I know wet grass is going to be worse, but just walking in grass period damages heels. You can't get me to do it. And Cece says that she agrees with American Way. And Gracie said, we need the Angela sister side. Yes, we definitely do. Why they wanted to move. And Gracie said, oh goodness, not Brit's event. Mm. Cece said Brit's event was ghetto. Very. It was straight up ghetto, period. The attire was not working with the heat. Brit was definitely out of her league when she decided to have this event. When, you know, I mean, girl, you need to stick to dressing, modeling, whatever the case may be, because when it comes to hosting events, it is definitely not your forte. Her event setup was a disaster and will be talked about amongst the celebrity ATL elites for many years to come. Shame on you and your event planner who is obviously inexperienced because she had to go back and tell this lady, this and that, and the lady just messed everything up. And the fact that they aired, that only select few received host gifts, that was just so tacky. When you have an event or a party or whatever. And if you're going to give gifts, everybody that attends is supposed to get a gift. And the fact that they aired that only the housewives were going to be getting a gift, that was tacky. Bravo is shady, okay? And, they don't pass up any opportunity to embarrass these ladies. I figured that, they think we pay y'all enough, we're going to embarrass y'all whenever we can. And Cece said Bravo probably had to pay the country club for greens repairs. Probably did. And Gracie said, I'm convinced Britt is cosplaying as a housewife. That part, Gracie. And Mama B says the way she only feed the housewives was ridiculous. Okay. And I am definitely getting to that. And why did the name of her brand have to include the word naked, knowing that Portia already has that name included in her brand? It just gives lack of creativity on Brit's part. The packaging of the gifts was giving bare and boring. Okay, girl, do better, or better yet, stay in your lane. And I also thought it was weird that they had Charles Oakley sitting at the table with the ladies for all of their petty conversations. But I guess he needed to be there for the side baby conversation because otherwise there was no point in him being there. And did y'all see that Justin Diego was in attendance? You go, boy. Yes, I seen Justin Diego. He's one of, a content creator that I really enjoy his content. He was in attendance at Brit's event. Now, I do like the fact that Brit told the ladies that they were at a classy event and that if they had some side combos that they had to take it outside because it was not going to happen in there. Although most of the ladies chose to leave when Brit made that statement. And Mama B says, and the gift boxes were horrible. They were so plain, just like no creativity. And like, I think it was Shamia said there was no gift wrap or, no tissue, no nothing. And Gracie said, I cringed seeing them heels go down on that golf course grass. That was, I know that those, clear people were looking at them like they were absolutely crazy. That was ridiculous. And Gracie said, poor Charles. And House of Aaron was there too. Really? I didn't catch a House of Aaron. So I guess they trying to get in good with the content creators so they don't talk bad about them. But getting all dressed up for the drama is starting to be a bit much. I'm like, um, Cynthia said she should have just called it a circus. Because now Cynthia talking like I'm talking, getting dressed up just to go to a circus. Now, when it comes to the scene with Drew signing to the label, I was only confused about two things. Now, we watched her sign the contract, but she said in a recent interview that I did a recap or I did a what did I do? A reaction to the interview that Drew did with Carlos King. And on that interview, she said she said that she was no longer working with Dennis. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. So which one is it? And the second thing is Dennis Nyack liquor brand. Is that a part of her contract? Because every time he meets up with Drew, he's in the studio. That Nyack bottle is sitting front and center. Like Dennis wasn't even physically at the signing of the contract. But guess what was at the signing of the contract? That Nyack bottle. So unless I mean, he's getting all of this free promotion. He's getting free promotion on the show with this Nyack, just with everything. And Gracie said, yes, that's his brand. He had Fallon promoted too. Yes, I'm aware that it's his brand, but he's just getting a lot of free promotion. I mean, it's just like at this point, we don't know if she's promoting her music or Dennis's Nyack. I'm just saying. So Phaedra finally makes her grand entrance. She said, I heard y'all was looking for me. Here I go. Okay. So the scene takes place at Phaedra's house with Portia stopping by for a visit. How convenient, since again, Portia doesn't have any home to film in. So I love the scene with Phaedra and Portia. Freaking Frack is back, y'all. And Portia seemed overjoyed with Phaedra being back and invited her to go on their trip to Grenada. So, of course, she had to call. Well, she decided to call Shamia, even though technically it's Kelly's trip. So, although we know that, you know, it's all production. Um, and did y'all hear when Kelly called Phaedra Fay Fay? And she didn't have a problem with it. Remember on my live when Shireen called her Fay Fay, she got upset and she was just like, bitch, my name ain't Fay Fay. So I had said I wasn't going to call her that no more since she obviously don't like it. Okay. So she seemed to didn't have a problem with it. So I guess you got to earn the right to call her Fay Fay. Okay. Phaedra um, she broke them bitches down. You got strawberry shortcake on steroids, which is Kelly. You got the very fluid friend, Drewzilla, which is Drew. And then you got the woman about town, Edie Britt, which is Britt. And then you got sweet Shamia. And then the secret wife of Charles Oakley, which is Angela. I am here for the buffet of foolishness. I have not seen Portia cheese so hard since this season began, and the drama will continue in the beautiful Grenada. And Cece said, I didn't see House of Aaron. I'll have to rewatch. He's funny to me. And Cece said, at least the Phaedra and Portia scene was light and fun compared to the rest of the episodes. It was needed. I really did enjoy that, Cece. And Cece said, I think it's dumb for the cast trip to be hosted by two new girls. It makes more sense for an OG to host welcoming the newbies. Yeah, I can see that. And Gracie said, what do you think about Phaedra talking about the ladies? Cute. It was fun shade, Gracie. And guys, that's all I got. I got to get out of here and I got to get back to work. If you did not like the video on the way in, please like the video on the way out. And if you just happen to be catching the replay, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop down in the comments so that we can keep this conversation going. Bye for now. See you at 2.